Hello and welcome. I am Raziel, and this week I'm going to talk about futuristic wargaming. Wargaming set in the future. Now there is sci-fi wargames, and there's quite a lot of that. Though they can be branched very differently in different places, but a lot of them take place in the future. Sometimes the far future. And by the way, because I'm talking future here, I'm not going to talk about Star Wars Legion because it's in a galaxy a long time ago. So it's in the past. So, as I was saying, this is about futuristic wargaming, and there seems to be a common trope when it comes to futuristic wargames. It's always some sort of dystopian future, like humanity's on the brink of extinction, or there's just war everywhere. And actually, this makes, in my opinion, a lot of sense. I'm going to just explain this first. Because if it's all peaceful, it's not going to be really a war game, is it? It's not going to be really, there's not going to be much conflict within the setting for you to have an excuse to go and fight. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And the other thing about science fiction, especially wargaming, but science fiction as a whole, is it's very good at showing off the problems of the time. If we go back to the 1950s and 60s, you've got things like It Came From Another Planet, the thing from another planet, I should say, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Them, it's not called Them, I think it's called Them, I can't remember, but one with the big ants, The Attack of a 50-Foot Woman, stuff like that, stuff that was scary because things like The Day the Earth Stood Still and The Thing from Another Planet, which obviously was remade as John Carpenter's Thing, which actually still fits this, it was a lot about communism and the Red Menace and the fear of you don't know who you could trust. Things like They or Them, I can't remember which one it is, because it's one of those two, because I keep getting Fallout 3 stuck in my head, and I will get to Fallout in a minute as well. That's more the fear of how bad science can get since we've had the nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb, and just the fear of science as a whole and how it could go drastically wrong. And again with the 80s, and I think it was late 80s, 89 I think it was, The Fly, again another film that was remade, and The Thing still sort of emphasised this problem where we were still very pessimistic about what science could do, and like it could be really scary. So, and the same goes for science fiction war games. Some war games started like in the 80s and they showed the time of the 80s, and when you have a setting which is set in a decade and is kind of highlighting the decade and is satirizing that, it's very hard to grow that setting outwards. It is. It's like 40k has an issues growing that setting outwards because apparently it was satirizing the 80s and Margaret Thatcher, though there's very little evidence apart from a post a couple of years ago that it was always satire. Whereas, like the original writers would say, yeah, it wasn't satire; it was just us having a load of fun. And no, Thacker is not Margaret Thatcher. That's just not true. So, when it comes to science fiction war games, you're going to come into some sort of dystopian future. Now, with Warhammer 40k, they've chosen a theocratic future where it's very, very highly dominated by religion for the humans, and they have to obey the ecclesiarchy, and they don't have any choice. It's, I would say, kind of on par with communism in the way that, the humans didn't get to do much. It's like a mixture between fascism and communism, and everything they have to obey the emperor, and this makes a good setting, especially when some of the bad things the good guys, we'll say good guys, have to do is actually for humanity. It's doing the bad thing for a good reason, such as burning heretics and chaos worshippers, because chaos is such an insidious force within 40k that you may not know you're worshipping chaos at times, or you're even putting up chaos symbols, and that's how chaos can get into your soul, and they don't know this. So butchering the entire planet may save thousands of planets afterwards. Same with the Tyranid First Invasion. Planet after planet was destroyed because it was believed that that would slow down the Tyranid invasion. And even Dante did this as well. He destroyed a planet to stop the Tyranid invasion, which actually got that High Fleet upset with Dante. And again, I like this sort of aspect where, you know, the good guys have to do these really bad things to save humanity. And when humanity's, like, the way it is so spread out, it's so isolated from each other that attacks from orcs, Necrons, the Aldari, doesn't matter who, is commonplace. They kind of don't have much of a choice. They have to save as many as they can, which unfortunately doesn't mean save everyone. So that's the theocratic side. There's now Firefight. I actually think's kind of better when it's setting. It's set in the far future again. Humanity is at war with everyone again. However, humanity's not ruled by a theocracy this time. It's ruled by corporations. It's ruled by businesses, and you're literally worth what you're worth. Like, they can put a penny, your price on the price you're worth to the penny on you. And if you are expendable or you're too much of a cost, they'll get rid of you. They'll just kill you. You're an asset. You are just not someone they need to be about. And while you're at the same point of everyone fighting everyone, like the Marauders, the Astarians, I should say. Again, if you're not putting your weight and you're not worth what they are paying you or what they have given you, they will just kill you. They don't care. It's not like you have a way to sort of justify your actions. Like, you could plead ignorance in 40k, and you may just become a servitor. However, in Firefight, you don't get that privilege. You don't get that. You're worth what you're worth. If you don't like it, we will get rid of you, and make sure someone else is worth what you are. And I think that's, so again, a very fantastic twist. When I first read the Firefight rules, it kind of reminded me of the opening scene of Fight Club, when he was talking about how distant galaxies will be the galaxy of Starbucks, or, you know, whatever company founded it. You know, and I think that's a really interesting take on the dystopian future. And then there's Fallout. Now, Fallout has its own game now, and I do want to talk about Fallout because I really do enjoy Fallout. It's one of my favourite game series. Again, it's not set so far in the future. It was started by corporate greed. Well, you have the Great War, which lasted like 30 seconds, and the whole planet was just destroyed, basically, like radiated, messed up, ruined. And so it's about survival. It's survival against each other. It's survival against, you know, super mutants, ghouls, and whatever happens to be in the way at the time. Even the animals are not going to be friendly. They are all attacking humans. And I think, again, this is a really interesting aspect because, like 40k, it's about survival. It's about trying to save humanity at any cost necessary. But it has a more higher value on life than what 40k does. Everyone is worth something, even the bandits are, sort of thing, you know? Like, they're not just going to throw people out there. And we've seen the bandits evolve over the last couple of games to what we have now, where you got more, you know, very much organised gangs. And it just works really well. I think it's what I like about Fallout. And so that's kind of what this sort of futuristic wargaming's like, and I really like it. And I think it's really interesting. And plus, it gives them so much scope. I mean, Fallout doesn't have that much scope, but you got the robots in there as well, the synths. Whereas things like Firefight and 40k have more scope to grow because they are very large areas which they are in. Very large areas. So there's going to be a lot of it that is undiscovered, unknown territory. And they have creatures like the Night Stalkers and Chaos, which comes from an entirely different realm altogether. Again, this just adds that little bit more into it, and it adds that little bit extra growth that it can go towards, with more creatures and more aliens to be discovered. Where unfortunately, with Fallout, it's on Earth, so it doesn't really have that growth. Anyway, what's your views on futuristic wargaming? Wargaming of the future. Welcome to tomorrow. You know, all that nonsense. And please leave a comment down below. You know I like having a good conversation with you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. If you wish to save money on your wargaming, don't forget to go down to Whaling Games down below and save up to 20% on your Warhammer, Mantic, and let's think. And even Fallout. Yeah, even the Fallout games I think is discounted as well. So there's that, and I hope you have a good day, and don't forget Forbidden Planet as well. There's my merchandise, my comics, and there's Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge. Let's get them up that algorithm, and finally, Patreon, because business. Bye bye.